Yo, we're back, bitches. Botched that landing. Well, not we. I botched the landing last night. I was a little too cocky. It was really foggy, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna deactivate autopilot early and just try to visually land this thing. And boy, oh boy, I'm gonna say we because we're in this together. It's as much your fault as my fault. I can't expect me to take all the blame. I mean, come on now. That's not really fair. That's not how America works. You can't really expect me to take all the blame. So, anyways, we're kind of like halfway through the flight, sort of. We're gonna do our best to actually land this airplane properly today. Because you know, I mean, we all make bad landings every once in a while. I mean, shit, it happens. None of us are, you know, perfect. But go America! What's up, Keith? Go America #1. What's up, brother? Getting ready to get a whole bunch of snow here today. I got the salt ready. I got the snow blower ready. Yeah, I sat up for a while last night replaying that landing in my head, and I was like, man, if I just would have left the autopilot on for like 45 more seconds or maybe a minute longer, we would have probably seen the runway and landed properly. But I was a little too cocky, and it is what it is. Let's see here. FSS has a new update out. General news from Flight Sim Studios. Let's see here. We've made some big improvements to our newsletter. Oh, it's about the newsletter. Okay. Whatever. You're just gonna get a little bit, yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to get, I think, like 6 or 8 inches where we're at. We'll see. We'll see how much snow we actually do get here. So again, it's the same airplane as last night. Same livery. Still have live weather on. I don't have live time on because it's nighttime there right now. And it's the exact same flight plan as last night. I'm going to try to use this tablet for the most part instead of flip-flopping back through Navigraph. I have all the charts here. You know, our landing chart. I already plugged in the VOR station and the course, so we can at least try to have some sort of guidance, you know, on the way down other than just a flight plan. But I mean, this tablet, it's not bad. It's got a lot of potential. It's just some parts of it are really shitty. You know, like I like how you can pull up the weather, you know, and the runways and frequencies and things like that, you know, and charts and what approaches are available. And you know, I mean, like it's got some good things to it. It's just a lot. Some of the things that you are supposed to be able to do in this, you just can't. Mainly the flight performance here. This takeoff and landing, like this still doesn't work. You can plug in all the information you want. Like we can plug in our airport that we're going to. We can plug all this in manually, flap index, whatever. But like it still does not. And maybe it's because this kind of airplane, but I mean, I would figure some information would come back. Yeah, we don't really need to descend until we get to about Kimti. We need to drop down from Kimti. By the time we get to Rattan, we need to be at 10,500 feet and around 200 knots indicated airspeed. By the time we get to AT 530, we need to be at 8,700 feet, no more than 170 knots indicated airspeed. You know, and then we'll come around hopefully nice and easy. I'm still trying to figure out where I went wrong last night. I wound up landing, like trying to land on a road. I don't know. Maybe I tried landing on one of these access roads. I guess I was like next to the runway, I guess. So we were close last night, but not close enough, obviously. Korean barbecue. Now you're talking my language. Might have to do that. There's a really good Korean restaurant pretty close to the house here. It's about 5 minutes. I like getting their they have rice bowls and noodle bowls there, and that's some of my favorite stuff. It's spicy chicken on it, or spicy pork, spinach, and they have pickled radish. Man, they have such good pickled radish there. Their kimchi is really good there too. Edamame on it, some black beans, some corn, sweet and spicy sauce. Now you talking my language, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. Put that bad boy on. Pull the smoker inside the house so your house will smell nice and good. I don't think I've ever tried to smoke anything inside a house before. We've deep fried a turkey in the house before, which was a bad idea. Deep frying turkeys can go sideways really quickly if there's still some ice. There's still some ice in or on the bird. You could wind up exploding pretty easily when it comes to that. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Replace that new car smell with that new brisket smell. Hickory smoked Mazda. Cherry smoked 626. I had a Mazda 626 for a while back in the day. That was a pretty nice little car. You can see mountains in the horizon there. Yeah, I've had a couple of Mazdas over the years. I had something else besides the 626 a while back. I think it was a 3-something. It was a smaller car. Many years ago, like 20 some years ago. I'd have to go back and think. I've had probably about a dozen cars in my life, maybe 15 cars. See, I had a Pontiac Grand Prix, was my very first car. That car was such a badass car, man. I got it in '94. It was 6 years old when I got it, and it had this orange dashboard. It was all digital. It looked like a spaceship on the inside. It was awesome. Then I had a Jeep Wrangler for about 3 years. That's probably one of my favorite vehicles I ever had, that Jeep Wrangler. Had a 3-inch lift on it, had some big tires on it, and it, you know, back in the Baltimore area, you know, in the county where I lived in the suburbs, they just started building a lot of homes. They were starting to build, so there was plenty of places to go at nighttime with friends and girlfriends and things like that to go party out, like in the sticks. And with that Jeep, we just pretty much went anywhere we wanted to. Then I had a Volkswagen Jetta, which I kept that thing for about 10 years. But I owned other cars in between. Plus, I had demos from dealerships back then, too. Having demos was fun. It was always nice driving somebody else's car. Most of the time, gas was paid for. I think the favorite demos I ever had is when I worked for Range Rover and Jaguar. It was nice having a new Range Rover to tool around in. Or a new Jag. This was in 2008 to like 2010 maybe. No, 2007-ish to like 2009-ish is when I worked for Land Rover and Jaguar. Yeah, it was dope having a new Range Rover. Well, we drove used cars. Where is how we did demos with that dealership, but you know, we had, you know, luxury car store. I mean, we always had Mercedes, BMWs, Porsches, Audis. Every once in a while we'd have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini come in. Every once in a while we'd have a Bentley come in. I remember we had a pastor come in and trade in his Bentley for a full-size Range Rover Supercharged, and I'm like, how does a pastor have a $500,000 car? Like, something ain't working right here if a pastor is, you know, but we all know that they, you know, pastors pass that collection plate around and get paid buckets of money to talk to God for us. We can't talk to God ourselves. We have to pay somebody first. We have to pay an entrance fee to talk to God sometimes. Organized religion, you gotta love it, right? Yeah, then after Land Rover and Jaguar. Oh yeah, in between that I ran a Hyundai dealership for a while. I did that for about a year. I was a general manager for a Hyundai store. Worked for Nissan as well. Then I worked for Mazda and Hyundai. Yeah, I did some bouncing around in my like mid to late 20s with dealerships, just to get newer title, better titles, a better title on the business card, and more experience. Favorite job I ever had was when I was a sales manager for Audi. Was a really fun job. And then when I switched to a different Audi dealership, when I got divorced, I decided to switch how much stress I had in my life. So I went from being a sales manager back into just sales on the floor. But the dealership I worked for was this little mom and pop Audi, Mercedes, and Subaru dealership, and their pay plan was ridiculous. I could sell 10 cars a month and make, you know, well over 6 figures a year. You know, well over $100 and some thousand a year just by selling 10 cars a month. That was a great job for about 5 years. And then they sold out to AutoNation. And AutoNation, they're like the biggest car dealer in the country. And they're very corporate and very structured. And they came in and changed everybody's pay plan. And we all went from making, you know, a good living to barely getting by. And I went back into management after that for AutoNation. I went back to in a finance office. And that was a pretty good job until they started changing my pay plan. I went through a period, like a 6-month period, where they changed my pay plan like 4 times over a 6-month period. Whatever the max pay plan was, I kept on maxing it out. And I was making more than the comptroller of the complex. And I guess with AutoNation, they don't want a manager or a director making more than the comptroller. So they continually changed my pay plan. So even though I was working hard, I was getting paid less and less for that hard work. So it was around that point I got full custody of my kids. And with full custody of my kids back then, they were in elementary school. I couldn't put in the time anymore and all that. So I switched into insurance, and the struggle's been real since I've been in insurance. Not terrible, but, you know, struggle nonetheless. I need to get down to 15,000 feet. Still got some time. So let me look at these. Let me look at Navigraph's charts again real quick. These are a little easier for me to read right now than Lido charts. Lido charts are a little difficult. They're not, I should reword it. Like, they're not difficult to read. It's just way different than Jeppesen charts. Okay, so Kim T is 17,000 or higher. Like, I've been reading these Jeppesen ones for so long that reading a Lido one looks like I'm reading a different language. I'm getting used to it. It's just, I'm so used to the way all the information is laid out on these. All right, 10.5, max of 250 we have in. I programmed all the restrictions and constraints before I took off today. Finally got the nose wheel steering to work on this airplane. It didn't work last night, but today, once you gain enough speed, then it started to work. So I don't know, Inibuilds. I mean, none of your other airplanes operate that way. But yeah, so we have 17 and 10.5, a max of 270 at AT640, which I don't think makes a difference. Let me make sure that we have that in there. Yeah, KT640. We have a max of 270. Okay. Then for rattan, which is after that, should have, I think I have 220 in there. Yeah, I have 220 knots in there for our speed. So let me do 250 at AT, so we're a little closer. We'll do 240 here. Well, we could do 250. All right, 250. And the rest of these should be okay. We're going to be in approach mode by then, so this 10, I don't have this altitude programmed in. I have a different altitude programmed in for, like here, KT 520. I have a different altitude in, but it's not showing. Yeah, I have 7,500 feet here. At or below 7,500. Even though it says 10.4 there, we're going to be in approach mode by then anyways. And we'll plug in our approach information when we get a little bit closer. When we get a little bit closer, once we start descending, this initialization page is going to go into approach mode where we can plug in all the approach information. Yeah, that's usually what happens, man. Lucky they kept you. A lot of times these companies, when they get bought out, they bring in their own people. You know, they bring in their new crew, and hey man, that's, well, at least that's good that they kept you. Gives you a chance to make a decision if it's something that you want to stick with or try to do something else. I tried to get a job with the Cincinnati a couple years ago. Right before, actually about 5 years ago now, right before, maybe 6 years ago now, actually. It was right before COVID hit. But my credit was so shitty back then from what was going on back then. 7 years ago, I had really big financial issues because of the move into a different career where I lost more than 50% of my income and all that. But I really, that job was, it was like some sort of, I think either a claims representative or an adjuster. I forget what it was, but they gave you like a car to drive. Like, it was a really good position. And I got to the final stages of the interview process. It was between me and two other people. And then when they ran my background and they saw my credit, I mean, it happens. I'm not, embarrassed, that my credit dropped how it was. I mean, I went from like an 8 something, 7 something credit score down to the low to mid 5s because of what was going on back then, but dug my way out of it. Good now. Knock on some wood. But yeah, once they ran my background and I explained to them why it happened, I mean, it all made sense. To me, it made sense, the reasonings I was giving them, but they didn't want to hear that, which is understandable. I mean, they're a huge company and they have to run it a certain way, so they're certainly entitled to do that. But yeah, that was a really good opportunity. I was really hoping that would have worked out. Now, even though I'm doing this flight now, I'm still gonna fly more stuff later. I'm gonna fly the Avanti again today at some point. Try to take advantage of being able to do this in the morning while I can, because in a couple of days I start my new job. So once my new job starts, I won't be able to do these morning daytime streams. That Avanti's sweet. Did you wind up getting it? It's a sweet plane, dude. Yeah, it's definitely worth, in my opinion, it's definitely worth the 20-25 bucks. The systems, the screens that you interact with, the displays, they're very, very similar to what's in the CJ4, the Cessna CJ4. That's a free plane that comes with the game. If you're familiar with those screens, jumping into the Avante and flying that thing, it should be pretty seamless kind of transition. That's a fun plane, man. It climbs real good, it cruises good, it handles well. The flight effects does good work, that's for sure. But just keep on sitting and chilling. We're getting there. Oh, I got Diet Mountain Dew on my mouse. I'm gonna descend when we get closer to this mountain range. I'm gonna descend to like 15,000 feet. We're closer to him. I really want this tablet to work well. Like, we were talking last night on Discord and in here last night when I was flying last night. I think instead of them coming out with Microsoft 2024, which is a complete shit show, they should have, in my opinion, they should have just kept everything as 2020. Yeah, Discord. Let me put the Discord server in the stream. Hang on a second. Discord? Yeah, man, we chat. We have good conversations in Discord. I got all kinds of channels set up. One channel for political talk, announcements, stream ideas, questions. We have like a question of the day. There's a bunch of us on there that are chatting throughout the day. It's fun. Let me put it up in the chat here. But I think they should have kept everything in 2020. All the new planes that they launched for 2024, they should have made those like a DLC. And then all these changes that they wanted to do, like they're doing now, where you stream more of the content and you have a tablet and all, they could have just introduced those as updates or patches as time went on, instead of how they launched it. Because I mean, this is a broken mess, this game, for the most part. Every once in a while you get lucky and have a good flight, but I mean, on the Series X, this game doesn't work too bad. It's pretty steady on the Series X. But here's the Discord. Did I not copy it? Copy it. Hang on a second. I used the wrong keyboard to copy it. Here's my channel. And I treat the Discord like a community to Discord. Like, I don't care if you advertise your channel. Like Jake in Chicago, they're always advertising their streams on it. Like, I don't really care. I treat it like a community channel. At least for all of us aviation geeks to go to. And here's I'll pin it to the top. There's our Discord there. You should drop in and say hi every once in a while. Yeah, I never get mad when people advertise their channels. Like Chicago's brought in some new people into the Discord, like, recently. I brought in some new people. So, I mean, we're trying to build this. I don't really know what we're trying to build. I enjoy interacting with a lot of you guys. And we seem to have pretty good conversations for the most part. So it's nice to be able to chat and kind of bullshit around, and, when we're not doing something like this. All right, let's go down to 15,000. Actually, we'll go down to 17. There's what? K-Train. All right, I'll keep an eye out for K-Train. I don't think I've ever seen K-Train on our Discord, but I'll keep an eye out for you. And this livery I downloaded from flightsim.to yesterday. There's a lot of really good third-party liveries on that flightsim.to. This is a real flight, R4132. Me being the geek that I am, I try to, pretty much every flight that I do, I try to base it off of a flight that took place in real life. Unless they just don't fly that airplane. You don't need to hear it, you just need to see that buttery landing coming up in a few minutes. Well, probably about a half an hour, actually. I don't want to get you in trouble at school, but, you know, I am more important than school, though. Hey, we can't land it yet, dude. You gotta wait. We'll get it on the ground. Just quit school. Quit school and just watch this instead. This is more important than school. I'm just kidding. Stay in school. Oh, yeah, we gonna butter it this time. I'm gonna leave the autopilot on for a little bit longer this time so I can see the runway first. Last night I got too cocky. I was tired and I was like, you know what? It's showing on the radar that it's straight ahead. What I should have done last night, which was my mistake, I should have switched the nav display here into VOR mode where I had the station programmed in the course and just used that to line up with the runway, and I didn't do that, and I didn't really think about it until afterwards. I was like, shit, if I would have done that, we probably would have landed the plane properly. Yeah, we're not too far from where we need to be. We're getting there. I could probably speed up the sim a little bit. Let me level off, and then we'll maybe we'll speed up the sim a little bit. What's my transition altitude-ish? Let's see here. It must be leveling off because I hear the engines kicking back on again. All right, so 300 is our decision height. And 8,700 at KT 530, which we talked about already. Decision height. And what is... I would think it would show on here. It shows on... Oh yeah, okay. Nope, that's not it there. Threshold. Okay, that's not it. That's the runway in front. Okay, here we go. Transition altitude 13.5. Okay. I'm not going to speed the sim up. We're just going to look at the mountains. Can I put in at least the approach information? Oh yeah, I can do that now. Go back to flight plan. Go to destination. Get the wind. Currently the wind is 30 by 5 knots, so let's plug that in. .30 by 5. Outside air temperature is currently 14 degrees and 16. Let's plug in 14. It's 1016. And arrow is 300. Our transition is 13.5. Let's plug that in. All right, now this should stick. I would hope. Yesterday when I plugged it in, it changed at some point, like it just didn't keep it, but I'm hoping that it keeps it now. Landing weight 109.8. Wonder if people live in these mountains here. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that live, like, I wonder if it's, I wonder what kind of folks live there. If it's like indigenous, they've been there for generations, or if it's like people that travel there and they have like vacation homes. I don't know about vacation homes, that's probably the wrong word to use, but like, you know, like a secondary home. I would think that living in mountains like this would be very not religious, not mythical, but like, I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's probably like a sense of calm, kind of serene, kind of zen kind of feeling. Like I would think like living in these kind of mountains in this area, you would feel like that. That's just, I have no idea how they feel. That's how I think I would feel if I lived in mountains like this. Can't turn on METAR. None of those we can turn on. Main highlight, we can turn on traffic. Airspaces, I guess. Is that important to have on? Is that important to have on? I doubt it. Since we're not using any kind of ATC help today. I don't like the satellite map. I think in this area we're gonna leave the terrain one on. Leave terrain on. Heading up, track up. Let's turn off airspaces. Turn off NDBs as well. Look at the checklist. I don't think there's anything we really need to do. Ecam, altimeter, minimums, flaps, gear, auto brakes, arm to ground spoilers, auto throttle off. We got to inform the load master that we're going to be dropping loads. Sweet. I'll check it out when I'm done. Be nice if this one worked back here. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Oh, this works, that's weird. Oh, you know what might be happening? We might be clicking the button through the thing here, through the display here. That's probably what's happening. Yep. Wow. Yep, that's exactly what we were doing. We were clicking right through this and clicking on these buttons through the display there. Wow. Very close to descending again. Should be able to get our checklist as well here. There we go. Okay, and we can use this joystick to move up or down. See here, approach. Briefing has been confirmed. ECAM, nav mode. Altimeter, TAWS, let's put that on below. Already did that. Engine start selector, checklist complete. I kind of like the ATR better for a lot of this stuff where you can just click right on the screen. They should have made it where we can like click right on the screen instead of like going all the way back here and barely being able to see what we're doing. It would be cool if they just, I don't know, gave us a pop-up option where like you had a screen kind of like this that pops up. Like in the Phoenix, how you can get your tablet to pop up like that. Phoenix and Flight Sim Labs where you could have that MCDU pop up like that. So once we pass Kimchi, we're going to start descending to 10,500 feet. And bring our speed down a bit too. Now I might get somebody knocking at the door here while I'm flying. I hope it shouldn't happen. I hope it doesn't, but it might. I have some my medications being delivered today. Instead of me going to get it, I'm having it delivered. But I don't think they're going to be here before I finish. getting blown around pretty good today. We got 35 miles until we start descending again. Guess I could speed things up for a couple of seconds. This SimRite selector is a pretty good free add-on here from Flight Sim TO. Now the landing rate calculator that I use on Microsoft 2020, that's supposed to be usable now here in 2024. I've put it in the community folder, but it still hasn't given any data yet. So the announcement was just made on it like a few days ago, so I don't know if it works yet or not. Kind of like the Avanti. The Avanti, there was a notice that came out a few days ago saying it's ready for 2024. You can use it in 2024. I tried it 5 times. Each time I clicked on the airplane, the screen froze and the game crashed. And then a few hours later, the other day, it wasn't showing anymore. I went into my library and it now says disabled, not approved by, not available. I was like, man, they put that up and took it down real quick. Yeah, there was some sort of issue with it where you click on it and it would just, the whole sim would freeze and then it would just crash right back to your like home screen. All right, let's turn off put us back at 1x. Getting close to these mountains here. Yeah, once we get past this point here, I'm gonna start dropping the altitude down. We could probably start setting that up now. Let me plug in 10,500. Target. All that has stayed the same. Kind of expected it to stay the same. You know, I don't know how often the METAR is updated in this area. It might be every hour, might be every 40 minutes. Once we start making this turn, we're going to start dropping our altitude down. Did you watch the Super Bowl, Keith? I'm pretty happy with the outcome of that game. I'm happy that the Eagles won. I know you live in Pittsburgh, so I don't know what your feelings are about the Eagles, but it's nice having somebody from your state win, man. Oh yeah, I didn't I caught highlights, if you want to call them highlights. I caught some of the halftime show afterwards, but yeah, no, I didn't watch the halftime show either. I wasn't really feeling Kendrick Lamar. Not a huge fan of his. All right, we're descending now to 10,500. And I'm actually gonna grab our speed here. It's down to 250 right now. Yeah, I like the fact that the Eagles won, man. The Eagles looked good as shit the other night, man. They were there. That defense, man, it reminded me of the Ravens defense and the Pittsburgh defense from years back. Kind of miss watching football like 20 years ago with Ray Lewis and Lodi Nada and oh man, who was the Samoan guy on Pittsburgh that used to? He was like he was a linebacker, I think, or was he a safety? The guy with the really long hair. Shit, I forget his name, but he was awesome to watch back in the day. Back when you guys had Cordell Stewart, and when Ben Roethlisberger was new, and Antonio Brown, and the Bus. Man, the Bus was awesome to watch, man. I used to love watching Jerome Bettis just destroy defensive lines. Football used to be so fun to watch. Hey man, yeah, I got really I was very arrogant last night. No, I was very arrogant. I was tired and arrogant last night, and I couldn't see the runway. We were about 1,000 feet above ground, and I was like, you know what, let me just deactivate autopilot and just land this thing visually. And I completely lost track of where we were at, and I didn't use any instruments, and yeah, it was bad. So it was my fault that I tried to blame it on the game, but it wasn't the game's fault. But yeah, I want to land this plane this time because we didn't really do it last night. I did do a go around, but I did a completely visual go around. I used no I used really no equipment. I was ready. I was so tired at that point. I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, I'm done. We can only do this a different day. Now, I had the VOR programmed like I have now. I had the VOR programmed for the right station last night. I didn't. If I would have flipped to this display last night, I probably would have been able to land it by hand. But I just missed the runway by a few hundred feet to the side. Oh yeah, no, we already touched down by the time we did a go around. Yeah, no. No, I know. You see me do go-arounds. I hear you. We're gonna get it this time, though. All right, so by the time we get to Rattan, $10.5 and a max of 250. Hey, it makes for good content, though. I mean, you can't be an ace at landing every time. And I didn't want to do this off stream again and record it and put it up, and then further the conspiracy theory that somebody else is landing my planes when when I'm not streaming. I've heard that conspiracy theory a couple of times, that the reason I butter the landings off stream is because somebody else is landing the airplane. I've heard that a few times. It's not true. It's definitely not true. It's just I'm not looking at the chat usually when I'm doing that. I'm fully concentrating. But no, I'll take the L for last night. That was my fault for sure. Did anything change with our METAR? Nope, still 20 by and still 1016. Nothing changed there. Drop our speed to 240. I did get the nose wheel steering to work today, though. You had to be moving pretty fast for it to engage, and then once it engaged, it was fine. And as I thought, this pedal button did absolutely nothing. You can push it, but it still does nothing, by the way. You can still turn the plane with or without it. So let me see if the weather shows differently here for our approach today. Here it's 20 by 6. Yeah, man, have a safe flight, my brother. I'll talk to you later on. I'll make you proud, Chicago. I'll make you proud. All right, let's update. Last updated at 9:32. 20 by 6, 15. Yeah, let's run with this info here instead of what's in the tablet there. So let's go back to performance again. Approach. Let's do 200 by 6. Outside air temperature is 15 degrees. UNH is 1015. And barometer is 300. We'll leave that there, and we'll put you on flight plan over here. Make sure we still have 13 by 2 and 22. We still got that there. We just had to remember 8,700 feet and 170 knots by KT 530. Yeah, I'm gonna continue to stick with 2024 as much as I can. I mean, I guess I'm still doing the beta testing update or whatever. I mean, I signed up for it and downloaded it. I guess I'm still doing it. I don't know for sure. Hopefully they'll come. I would like for them to fix this tablet. I really want the performance part of this tablet to work. This takeoff and landing, I really want this to work. I think that would be so dope if that actually worked, instead of having to go to SimBrief every time to do it. Because, you know, when they had that developer summit, you know, the developer expo last year that we watched on stream together, they were talking about how they wanted this tablet to kind of take the place of SimBrief, so you didn't have to have SimBrief and Navigraph and all that stuff. But so far, it's got promise, but it's definitely not working to the point where I'm ready to give up SimBrief and Navigraph. You know, I know I pay, I think it's like $30 a month for the two of those, but it's definitely worth it. For me, at least, I think it's worth it. Once we make this turn, we have this pink dot right here. That's when we're supposed to slow down. I'm going to slow down a little bit before then. But, you know, I guess I don't have to. I can leave it at 240. And then when we get to that pink dot, we'll flip it down to 220. Yeah, that's what I have in here anyways, is 220 for rattan. And then once we do that, I'm going to activate approach mode, and that's going to allow us, it's going to program the flight management system to, or approach mode, really. It's going to not let us go over certain speeds. It's going to start getting us to put the flaps down. Actually, let's arm the ground spoilers. That's right here. Let's arm the auto brakes. Curious what Navigraph's METAR is. This is usually the one that I go by when I'm flying every flight. I usually go by this METAR in here. Yeah, see, this one is 170 by 4 knots. This was taken 7 minutes ago. So this is the one I'm going to go by. Let me plug this in here. We have 170 by 4. The outside temperature is 13. Barometer is 1060. All right, very good. So let's activate approach mode. Put this down to 20. All right, well, at least the METAR here is showing very similar info. Same winds, temperature's close enough. And on Navigraph, it was showing it's an MVFR landing, so a modified visual landing, so I don't exactly know what that means, but I'm going to take it that it's not 100% visual landing, so you need some instruments, or you need to be at a certain altitude or a certain visual of the runway in order to fly it visually, is my take on that. All right, let's move the altitude down to 8,700. We're gonna start descending here in a moment. Yo, Bobby B, what's up, dude? We're back for round 2. We're gonna land this airplane this time. All right, once we make this turn to rattan, we're gonna slow down and send to 8700. Yeah, last night was my fault. I got a little too cocky and I was tired. I had to take a piss. And I thought I could land it just by visual alone, even though I could see the run. I could not see the runway. I couldn't see the ground. I just thought I'd be able to do it anyways. I was wrong. All right, let's start descending. Actually, we'll do this mode here. We'll do BS mode. 12 there, and let's put this down to 170. Actually, we can put this to, let's do 190 right now. We'll do 500 feet per minute. That's still gonna get us to 8700 by here. Maybe not. All right, let's do 700. Well, shit, we're almost at 8700 now, actually. Do 500 feet then. Can almost engage flaps. Actually, we can engage almost. We'll get down to 190, then we'll put some flaps down. Then we can do flaps 1 starting at 209, 173. Put our flaps down. Oh, look at that. I didn't realize it actually shows the airplane on here. That is pretty cool. All right, well, let's make this small then. We don't need it. All right, 170. Put our altimeter, our altitude down to about 5,000 feet. Start descending again. Engage approach mode. Approach mode, bitch. Flaps 2. I can get rid of the tablet. Put our landing gear down. Go into manage speed mode. It almost go laps 3. Hey, what's up, Scalebait? Yeah, man, I wanted to get this done before I felt bad about last night that I botched the landing, so we're doing this again. All right, 110.15. flaps 4. Okay, this time I'm going to visually see the runway before I take off autopilot. I'm still going to land it by hand. At least that's the plan. But I want to be able to see the runway this time before I do it. Last night I didn't see the runway. I was arrogant and cocky. I'll admit it. I was tired. I had to take a piss. I was ready to go. Like I was done by the time we got here last night. All right, VNav is doing its thing. Now it's an RNAV approach, but it's this RNAV approach here. But I plugged in the localizer. I plugged in the VOR station, and I guess you can kind of say it's a VOR type approach, but it's an RNAV landing that we're setting up for. But even RNAV landings, you can use a VOR station and a course to help you out. It'll give you, usually most airplanes, it'll give you a glide path instead of a glide slope, and it'll give you a final approach course instead of a localizer. This is kind of how it was setting up last night. Like, it was really foggy. I couldn't see the runway, but I thought we were lined up with it, but we weren't. Biggest difference between doing these kind of landings and like an ILS landing, the biggest difference is that generally autopilot won't take you down all the way. Like a lot of ILS landings, these airplanes, it'll touch the wheels down for you. It won't do it with these kind of landings. Usually it'll just cut it off at like 500 feet above ground, and then you have to land, you know, from there. I don't want to remove the autopilot until I see the runway. That was my big mistake last time. Fortunately, I can't see the runway at all. Which is why I'm guessing it says it's a modified visual flight, modified visual rules for this landing. Is that the runway right there? I think I see it actually. All right, let's take off. Ah, I see the runway now. Very good. Take off auto.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Yeah, boy. At least we got it on the ground. Bad landing, but we still landed it. Something to improve upon. My first time ever landing this airplane. We'll take it. Landing gear doesn't look damaged to me, boys. It's a military plane. We're allowed to land this down and dirty and hard, like we're landing on an aircraft carrier. Yeah. Somebody said that last night. We had to land this airplane like an aircraft carrier, and that's what we did. We just smack it down. All right, I'm gonna go plan a flight for the Avanti and something else later, and I'll be back later tonight. Make sure I don't know, make sure you have a good day, actually. And I'll be back later today at some point. And that's it, my friends. I will see you on the next episode of the Airplane Show. See ya.